Today we will be discussing the off-season moves of the Houston Rockets. Last year, the Rockets were very successful under new head coach Mike D'Antoni in a system that relied heavily on three-point shooting. They were 55-27, which was third in the Western Conference, led by MVP runner-up James Harden. But what made the Rockets make moves in the offseason? Well, in their loss to the Spurs in the playoffs, the Rockets demonstrated that they had a lack of perimeter defense, and when James Harden was cold, the team could barely find any success. So what was the first move to help their MVP candidate? The Rockets traded Patrick Beverley, Lou Williams, Sam Dekker, Montrezl Harrell, Darren Hilliard, DeAndre Liggins, Kyle Walter, a protected 2018 first-round pick, and cash considerations for Chris Paul. Yes, that seems a lot to give up, but they did land a future Hall of Fame and a top 7 point guard right now in the NBA. Let's dig deeper into this trade. The best player the Rockets dealt was Patrick Beverley. In his first 5 years in the NBA, Patrick Beverley was known as the lockdown defender, but last year really started to become a better offensive player as well. Last year he averaged 9.5 points, 5.9 rebounds, and 4.2 assists. While Beverley wasn't the best offensive player, he was a great complement to Harden as he was a good shooter and made up for Harden's lack of defense. Also, the use of Beverley was something the Rockets needed as the Western Conference is full of many star point guards including Russell Westbrook, Stephen Curry, Damian Lillard, and previously Chris Paul. So when seeing this trade, many people think the Rockets are losing defense and gaining offense by adding Chris Paul, but that is completely false. Chris Paul is a great defender himself as he has made the All-NBA defensive first team 7 times and the All-NBA defensive second team twice. So Chris Paul is a big upgrade over Patrick Beverley, but there's more to this trade. Next up is six-man Lou Williams. Lou Williams was traded to the Rockets last year for Corey Brewer and their first-round pick. Williams and Eric Gordon formed up to be the best bench duo in the NBA. So why would the Rockets give away Williams? Well, first of all, it is much easier to have one dominant player on your bench and surround him with other role players. It is good to have 2 great scoring bench players, but it is hard for them to coexist. But most importantly, what are Lou Williams and Eric Gordon's job? Lou is an ISO scorer and Eric Gordon is a spot-up shooter. Between the two of them, there is very little defense and playmaking. So basically what the Rockets do when their bench enters the game is alternately feeding one of them the ball and letting them score. This system is more effective when there is one scorer, a playmaker, and also a good defender. At times, the Rockets would run James Harden at the point, Eric Gordon at the shooting guard, and Lou Williams at small forward. Although this lineup is great for scoring, it is awful on defense. When Lou came to the Rockets last year, it created an imbalance of skills on the bench. Also, the Rockets gave up Sam Dekker and Montrezl Harrell, who were both solid young role players, but neither had really blossomed into the type of first-round talent the Rockets were looking for. So it makes sense for them to let these players go. But who did they replace them with? The Rockets drafted JoeGee and signed PJ Tucker and Tarek Black. Let's first look at PJ Tucker. Last year, PJ Tucker was traded in the middle of the season from the Suns to the Raptors. In the playoffs against the Cavs, Tucker was amazing. He guarded LeBron James the majority of the games while also providing spot-up shooting and rebounding. I think Tucker was a great signing for the Rockets. He provides much needed perimeter defense at the small forward position in a Western Conference that includes small forwards like Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, and Paul George, and he can fit into their high-octane three-point shooting system. But most importantly, I think in stretches he can take over the starting power forward position. Ryan Anderson is a great shooter and post scorer, but not much else. With Tucker, there is much more defensive skill and versatility, and he can still rebound and shoot the ball. This works great in scenarios like when the Warriors go their small ball lineup. The Rockets have always had trouble countering this lineup, and I think PJ Tucker solves this problem. Both Tarek Black and JoeGee could be the backup center, but I'm going to focus on JoeGee. In the second round with the 43rd pick, the Rockets selected Chinese big man JoeGee. Although this pick may not seem great, it offers a lot of upside for the Rockets. JoeGee is a 7'1" center with the second longest wingspan in draft combine history, who can also shoot the 3. Who does that remind you of? Yes, Kristaps Porzingis. I'm not saying that he is that good, but he's just a freak talent. In the summer league in his first game, JoeGee had 17 points, 7 rebounds, and made 2 threes. Although he didn't play well the rest of summer league, he proved what he can do. I think if JoeGee can prove himself this year and gain a good amount of minutes, the Rockets could challenge the Warriors this year itself. With his 3-point shooting at the center spot and its size on the defensive end, I don't know who the Warriors could put on him. Going back to the Chris Paul trade, this trade is good if used correctly. One of the problems last year was how the Rockets struggled when James Harden was off the court. I think that if D'Antoni could stagger in which Paul or Harden was on the court almost all of the game, the Rockets would be very successful. Both players provide a great scoring ability and, more importantly, can create opportunities for other teammates. But what about them on the court together? I think that they should play about 20 minutes together and both should be used at the same time. They should be involved in pick and rolls and off-ball plays so that defense has trouble staying with both dynamic scorers and possibly leaving one of the shooters open. It shouldn't be isolation too much because neither of them are great spot-up shooters. So in conclusion, I think that if used correctly, Chris Paul could ease a lot of the workload off of James Harden and they could also be good on the court together. Also, the Rockets made great offseason acquisitions in PJ Tucker and JoeGee. I think this year's Rockets are a serious contender and have a great chance at dethroning the defending champion Golden State Warriors.